On April 21, 1970, a massive explosion rocked the Apollo 13 spacecraft while it was in flight to the Moon. This catastrophic event not only jeopardized the lives of the 3 astronauts on board, but also threatened to be one of the most humiliating setbacks in the history of space exploration. But against all odds, the crew of Apollo 13 managed to survive and return home safely, earning them worldwide admiration and cementing their place in history as true American heroes. In today's video, we're going to talk about Apollo 13, the mission that failed but succeeded. Let's get into it. But before we start, remember to hit that like button for more great videos. And let's start off with a famous quote from this mission. "Houston, we have a problem." These words echoed through the halls of NASA's control room and sent shockwaves around the world. For at that moment, the lives of Apollo 13's crew, astronauts Jim Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Haise, hung in the balance. An explosion had rocked their spaceship, severely damaging it and leaving them stranded in deep space without enough power or resources to make it back to Earth. The journey to the Moon had begun 2 days earlier on April 16th, when the powerful Saturn V rocket carrying the Apollo 13 spacecraft blasted off from the launch pad at Cape Kennedy, Florida. The trio had high spirits as they embarked on their mission to explore the lunar surface. However, just 56 hours into their journey, disaster struck. As alarm bells blared and red warning lights flashed, the crew knew that they were in grave danger. An explosion had crippled their ship, and their chances of survival seemed slim. In the aftermath of the blast, the astronauts found themselves in a race against time. With their lives hanging in the balance, they had to take swift and decisive action if they were to stand any chance of returning home alive. The cause of the explosion was soon discovered. A faulty oxygen tank in the service module had caused an electrical fire, crippling the spacecraft's power supply and damaging its navigation systems. The astronauts' dreams of exploring the Moon were shattered as they realized the gravity of their situation. They were now faced with the daunting task of trying to return home safely. As the reality of their fate sank in, the astronauts knew that they had to stay calm and focus on the task at hand. The fate of the Apollo 13 mission rested on their shoulders, and they were determined to do everything in their power to save themselves. Despite the setback, the astronauts remained resolute. They worked tirelessly with NASA officials on the ground to devise a plan to bring them home safely. With ingenuity and determination, the team on the ground came up with a solution. They would use the command module, which was still intact, as a lifeboat to bring the astronauts back to Earth. However, this meant that the astronauts would have to abandon the lunar lander, which was essential for landing on the Moon. Their dreams of becoming the 4th crew to walk on the lunar surface were dashed, but they had no choice but to prioritize their survival. As the astronauts prepared for the journey home, they knew that they would face many challenges along the way. But they were determined to overcome them. With careful planning and execution, the astronauts successfully undocked the command module from the damaged spacecraft and began their journey back to Earth. The journey home was fraught with danger. The astronauts had to navigate through a field of debris left behind by the explosion and conserve their resources carefully. But they persevered, and thanks to the tireless work of the team on the ground, they were able to make it back safely. After 5 days in space, Apollo 13 finally returned to Earth. The astronauts had become celebrities overnight, and the world watched in suspense as their capsule touched down in the Pacific Ocean. As the astronauts emerged from the capsule, weak but alive, the world erupted in cheers. The men who had faced death and stared it in the eye had emerged victorious. The successful return of Apollo 13 was a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and determination. The astronauts had faced unimaginable challenges and had come out on top. The world marveled at their bravery and the skill of the team on the ground that had made their rescue possible. The story of Apollo 13 has become a legendary tale in the annals of space exploration. The astronauts' courage and determination in the face of danger have inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and dreamers alike. and the world continues to celebrate these true American heroes for their incredible journey home. Now, while the world was celebrating the safe return of the astronauts, there was another group of people who were feeling a bit uneasy. These were the people who had been working tirelessly behind the scenes to make the mission a success. They had put their hearts and souls into the project and were disappointed that it had ended without a successful moon landing. But despite their disappointment, they knew that they had done everything they could to ensure the safety of the astronauts. They had worked day and night to come up with solutions to the many problems that had arisen during the mission and had pulled off a near-impossible rescue operation when the ship had exploded. They were exhausted but proud of what they had accomplished. Meanwhile, the astronauts were being treated like rock stars. They were interviewed on television, appeared on talk shows, and were invited to events all over the country. It was a lot to take in, but they were grateful for the support and admiration of their fellow citizens. They knew that they had done something special and were happy to share their story with the world. However, not everyone was happy with the outcome of the mission. Some people felt that the government had wasted a lot of money and resources on a mission that had failed to achieve its main objective. They argued that the money would have been better spent on other projects that had a greater impact on people's lives. Others felt that the astronauts had been put in too much danger and that the risks had not been worth taking. They argued that the government should not have allowed the astronauts to continue with the mission after the ship had exploded. Despite the criticism, the astronauts and the team at NASA knew that they had done everything right. They had followed the procedures, taken all the necessary precautions, and made the best decisions possible given the circumstances. They knew that sometimes things do go according to plan, and that even the best-laid plans can go awry. But they also knew that they had done their best, and that was all that mattered. In the end, Apollo 13 was a mission that had failed to reach the moon, but had succeeded in bringing home 3 brave astronauts. It was a mission that had been fraught with danger, but had ultimately been a resounding success. It was a mission that had captured the imagination of the world and had shown what humans are capable of when they work together to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Now, what did we learn from this? We learned that even when things go wrong, we should never give up. We should always keep trying to find solutions and never lose hope. We should be brave and resourceful and never let adversity get the best of us. We should also learn to appreciate the hard work and dedication of those who work behind the scenes. The people who work in the background often don't get the recognition they deserve, but they are the ones who make many of our modern conveniences possible. We should take a moment to appreciate their hard work and dedication. So the next time you see an astronaut on TV or read about a space mission in the news, remember the brave men and women who worked tirelessly to make it all possible. Remember the astronauts of Apollo 13 who faced death and stared it in the eye and emerged victorious. And remember the unsung heroes who work behind the scenes to make our lives better every day. We hope you enjoyed learning about the amazing story of Apollo 13. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you never miss an exciting episode. And as always, thanks for watching. Until next time, keep looking up.